In Saudi Arabia, religious holidays are not a campaign. They are an exam. Ramadan and Hajj turn all Western marketing habits upside down. Instead of more attention, you need more humility. Instead of an emotional show, you need silence and intention. Instead of buy now, it becomes leave something in the heart. It is at the same time the period of the biggest budgets and the highest social vigilance. Every frame, sound, and word is treated like a personal message from the brand to the soul of the viewer. In this time, advertising doesn't try to grow the basket. It tests the conscience. Ramadan has its own daily rhythm that dictates formats, media, and tone. Before dawn, suhoor, silence, preparation. During the day, fasting, focus, avoiding stimuli. After sunset, iftar, community, a gentle return to sensory input. At night, tarawih, reflection and conversation. Media gravity shifts as well. Prime time moves to the hours after iftar, and short, quiet communication works better than anything that blinks. In Ramadan, it's the audience that sets the pace, not the media planner. It is the month of almsgiving, zakat, sadaqah, and reconciliation. Brands that understand that gift means more than deal win, almost by instinct. That is why stories about care, a meal for a neighbor, going back to your parents, a repaired relationship, resonate better than any polished product demo. CSR becomes the main storyline and the product, a silent prop. Hajj, in turn, is holiness with the highest threshold of responsibility. Pilgrimage is not a theme, it is sacred. Communication uses the language of logistics, transport, safety, information, not stylized aesthetics. Every gesture that comes close to commercializing the sacred, shots of the Kaaba as background, selfies, musical effects, turns the creative idea into an existential risk for the brand. Here, respect is not added value. It is the condition for operating at all. Two worlds, one oversight. Television remains the voice of tradition and the state. YouTube is the stage of generational change and everyday life for the young. In Ramadan, both worlds explode, but the same architecture applies: dignity, community, modesty. The same story has to exist in two forms: monumental, TV, and intimate, YouTube, with an identical backbone of values. The language is minimalism and honesty. When humor can be bad manners and music can be excess, gestures are the most effective medium. Pouring water for a father, switching on a lamp in an empty room, the sound of a plate being put down on the table. The simplest soundscape, breath, footsteps, the rustle of fabric, prayer, creates presence more strongly than anything else. During Ramadan and Hajj, form carries the message by itself, as long as effects don't get in its way. The risk is moving. The boundary of what is acceptable depends on region, mood, and current context. That is why the process needs a triple safety lock: religious and cultural consultation, regional piloting, live monitoring of reactions with a ready-made plan B, a music-free version, a changed voiceover, adjusted shots, and a withdrawal plan, without a trace of arrogance. The licensed influencer is not a free agent. Every voice carries more weight, especially the voices of respected people: Quran reciters, doctors, teachers, local female leaders. Licensed creators speak the language of values and responsibility. Briefs must take into account both their authority and their limits. In closed WhatsApp circles, one recording can do more than an entire paid ad block. Why all this? Because in Saudi Arabia, religious holidays are a window into collective memory. Whoever steps into it with a clean intention leaves a trace that lasts longer than any promotion. Whoever treats it as a sales opportunity will be remembered just as clearly, but for all the wrong reasons. In Saudi Arabia, religious holidays are not only a time of reflection, they are also the season of the biggest ad budgets of the year and the biggest cultural risk. When a Western marketer hears Christmas, they picture bells, trees, and emotion. A Saudi marketer, when they hear Ramadan, sees tears, silence, family, and deadlines. Because holidays in Saudi Arabia are a time of hypersensitivity. Emotions are heightened, religiosity is deep, and every form of communication is treated as a personal message from the brand to the viewer's soul. In this part of the episode, we will talk about what advertising looks like during Ramadan and Hajj, the two holiest periods in the Saudi calendar, and why it is exactly then that brands walk a tightrope between cultural icon and disastrous faux pas. In Western cultures, holiday advertising is an emotional show: children, gifts, nostalgia. In Saudi Arabia, it is sacred, especially when it comes to Ramadan and Hajj. Here you are not advertising a product. You are advertising an attitude, with heart, with humility, and with silence. Because Ramadan is the most important advertising season of the year. Facts. It's the time of the highest viewership. TV, YouTube, TikTok, everything explodes. Ad revenues can grow by up to 300% compared to other months. Biggest investors: food brands, Islamic banks, telecoms, NGOs, state institutions. The dominant formats: emotional campaigns, the famous Ramadan tearjerkers. Example: a mother preparing a meal for a neighbor who lost his family. Message: community, love, forgiveness. Tagline: open your heart before you break bread. Social campaigns: CSR, charity, support for the poor. Brands often step back from direct product promotion, focusing on donations, aid projects, human stories. Back to values campaigns: showing children, prayer, shared time, disconnecting from technology. What to avoid: showing food before sunset, haram. Humorous ads, seen as tone-deaf during fasting hours. Images of overindulgence, excessive dishes, luxury, opulence. Showing women in evening dresses, even in a family dinner context. The ideal campaign: Almarai, dairy producer. The spot: a man rides a motorcycle with a large jug of milk to his elderly father, who cannot fast and needs nourishment. In the background, oud music and Quran recitation. The father says, "Thank you for being my strength in my weakness." The logo appears only at the very end. Tagline: Ramadan is returning to yourself. Result: viral. Praise from religious scholars. Hajj? It is a sacred topic, and a risky one. Hajj is the pilgrimage to Mecca, an obligation for all Muslims who are able. In Saudi Arabia, it is not a theme. It is sacred ground. Advertising at this time is a mine, but a very profitable one. What is allowed? Promoting pilgrimage services, transport, accommodation, apps to manage the flow of people, campaigns reminding viewers of values, humility, brotherhood, spiritual renewal, archival films showing the history of Hajj. What is forbidden? Using images of Mecca as mere backdrop for purely commercial ads, showing people taking selfies with the Kaaba, adding music over footage of holy places, combining sacred imagery with promotions for, say, smartphones, watches, or cosmetics. Cases that sparked outrage. Example 1. Luxury watch commercial with the Kaaba as background. A Dubai brand shot a spot showing a businessman praying and then checking the time on a gold watch. Tagline: time for something greater. Result: total ban. The brand was banned in Saudi Arabia for a year. Online protests and condemnation from religious scholars. Example 2. A clothing brand promoting Hajj outfits. Clothes too fashionable, with the slogan, Pure Mecca. Accusations of profanation. Campaign withdrawn, reputational damage enormous. The golden rule? During Ramadan and Hajj, don't ask how much you will sell. Ask whether your ad will leave something in the viewer's heart. Because these holidays are about transcendence, not sales. Brands that understand this win. Those that just want to cash in are rejected at the first stage of cultural review. Market numbers? 84% of Saudis say Ramadan ads should be spiritual, not commercial. 71% believe brands should talk less about themselves and more about values during this period. Up to 90% of purchase decisions in Ramadan are preceded by emotional conviction, not just price comparison. In short, holiday advertising in Saudi Arabia is not a campaign. It is a pilgrimage to the viewer's soul. Brands that understand this can become symbols of national sensitivity. Who runs the Saudi screen? In Saudi Arabia, TV is heritage and YouTube is revolution. But both are ruled by the same cultural supervision algorithm. When you sit in front of a TV in Riyadh, you may land on a Ramadan historical drama, a sermon from Mecca, or a patriotic spot about Vision 2030. Meanwhile, in the next room, your daughter is on YouTube. A beauty influencer in abaya talks about halal makeup, a guy in Gutra explains how to start a startup, and on the screen flashes, "Subscribe before the algorithm eats us." This isn't a technological split. It is a socio-generational cultural front. TV and YouTube in Saudi Arabia are not competitors. They are two parallel worlds, managed by the same state, but intended for very different souls. What does television mean in Saudi Arabia? Controlled since the 1960s by the Ministry of Media. Programs broadcast only after censor approval. Main channels: Saudi TV 1, Al Ekbaria, Rotana, MBC, partly Saudi, Quran TV. Every episode, every ad, every series reviewed by officials. TV is the carrier of the kingdom's official narrative. This is where government successes, religious holidays, national initiatives, deceased kings, and futuristic new cities like Neom are showcased. TV is the voice of the palace. For whom? Older generations, conservative regions, viewers looking for a safe format. YouTube, on the other hand, is the stage of awakening, where topics banned on TV are discussed, uncomfortable questions are asked, the real lives of young Saudis are shown, from frustration to dreams to everyday routines. But YouTube also has a censor. The Saudi government monitors YouTube just like TikTok. It works with Google and YouTube MENA. Although many videos may look free at first glance, in practice, algorithms are localized. YouTube works differently in the US and differently in Saudi Arabia. Channels can be demonetized without warning. Certain words and titles, women's rights, love before marriage, liberalism, reduce reach. Ramadan is the example of this dual front. During Ramadan, both worlds explode. TV, a religious historical series about a prophet. Daily fatwas programs with scholars, ad with the Aramco logo and Quran recitation. YouTube, influencers, Ramadan routine vlogs. What my iftar with friends looks like. A Thmanya series. How is young people's religiosity changing? One country, two realities, both approved, both supervised, but for different audiences. The takeaway? In Saudi Arabia, there is no media war. There is a division of spheres of influence. Television is tradition and official messaging. YouTube is modernity and social transformation. Neither platform is fully free. Both are carefully managed by institutions that don't fight the internet, but adopt it, control it, and use it for their own purposes. Series, talk shows, and podcasts. How do you make Arab entertainment? In Saudi Arabia, entertainment is not just about fun. It is a laboratory of morality, politics, and emotions. Every joke passes through a filter of national soul. A Western viewer hearing entertainment imagines Netflix, stand-up, a dating sitcom, a podcast about relationships, and a few light jabs at politicians. In Saudi Arabia, entertainment is more sensitive than religion because it touches mass emotions, collides generations, and tests boundaries. Here, entertainment must be halal, educational, culturally aligned, and, ideally, state-approved. But that doesn't mean it's boring. Saudis have built their own showbiz ecosystem where even a podcast about tea can get millions of plays because it touches values. Series are the kings of Ramadan, but without kissing. Dominant genres, family dramas with a moral message, generational conflict, clan secrets, father-son relationships, but no affairs, sex, suicides, addictions, religious historical series about prophets, scholars, kings. Prayer scenes, Quran quotes, solemn tone, sitcoms, but polite ones. Jokes about neighbors, daily life, regional differences, off limits. Jokes about marriage, women, politics, religion. A cult hit? Tash Ma Tash, Take It or Leave It, a legendary series that ran for nearly 20 years and returned after a decade on NBC. A comedy commenting on bureaucracy, strict law, family life. After controversy in 2010, it disappeared. It only returned in 2023, softened, with a new censor and a cultural consultant. Censorship in practice. Every series goes through a cultural compliance panel before airing. Episodes are reviewed by media ethics officers. Even live internet shows can be cut midstream if a forbidden word is spoken. Conclusion? Entertainment in Saudi Arabia is not escape. It is a tool for shaping national awareness. What would be late-night comedy in the West can be treated here as an attack on morality. And yet, despite all the limits, the kingdom produces original, smart, and emotional formats that blend old with new. What do media-state relations look like? Imagine a newsroom in central Riyadh, shiny office tower, card access lifts, a reception serving cardamom coffee, desk, journalist. On the screen, a story about rising rents in Jeddah. Simple enough? Not exactly. Before writing a single line, they must check whether the angle won't undermine trust in the state, no hint that people suffer because of reform policies. Avoid any mention of class. Poverty is sensitive. You can only talk about household challenges. Use obligatory phrases. Solutions within Vision 2030, new quality of life, public-private partnership. Submit the lead for approval to an editor who will send it on to an official acting as editorial guardian. Hard foundations of soft control. Pre-censorship. Better prevent than ban. There is no need for a censor with a red pen. Censorship works like antivirus software installed in the heads of editors, screenwriters, and video editors. The most effective control is the control the creator performs themselves before hitting publish. The cultural compliance system. Every major media production in Saudi Arabia must have on board a culture and religion consultant, a Vision 2030 compliance officer, and a values mentor, often a former official who suggests changes to the narrative. Examples of intelligent correction. Example 1. A talk show about generational relations. One guest said, "Times have changed. Today, fathers don't have as much authority as they used to." Reaction? Episode paused. After consultation, the line became, "Today, fathers are learning authority in a new world." Example 2. A series about startups. Originally included a scene where the heroine says, "I don't need my husband's permission to go to a conference." Reaction? After review, it changed to, "My husband supports me, together we'll succeed." What happens if a creator crosses the line? They don't go straight to jail. First, they get a phone call with a request for correction, a visit from an official to the newsroom, a publishing ban until they complete training, and if they comply, a second chance. If they don't, they can land on GAM's blacklist. Their name can be removed from media circulation. Even if they start a new channel, the algorithm won't show it. Media invisibility is the final punishment. Numbers. 91% of Saudi journalists say they know which topics are risky. 78% of newsrooms have a separate pre-censorship unit. 64% of TV programs underwent changes before airing, despite prior script approval. The takeaway? Media-state relations in Saudi Arabia are not a prison. They are a symbiosis. A journalist is not meant to be objective. They are meant to be loyal to the shared national path. A screenwriter does not provoke. They build the mythology of a new society. Censorship is just a word. In practice, it is a culture of anticipatory respect. What does national storytelling mean? In Saudi Arabia, advertising is a cultural institution, not just a product carrier. Brands that appear during series breaks, on billboards, and in TikToks are not just advertising themselves, they are advertising Saudi Arabia. Example: STC, Saudi Telecom, modernity with a soul. In the background, a woman in abaya, an office tower, a father, prayer, 5G internet. Message: You can be innovative without forgetting who you are. Funding sources? Central budget, mainly for social and educational campaigns. State-owned companies? Sponsor ads, series, sports, podcasts. Private brands? But only those that accept the rules of national messaging. Demands on private sponsors. They must present a cultural strategy, obtain GAM certification, often receive mandatory scenes to incorporate into their campaign. Premium campaign format. You have 30 seconds. Sell the product, but also community, a vision, the future, and respect for tradition. Case: Al Raji Bank Campaign. A young Saudi returns from abroad. He opens a bank account with his father. Tagline: New World, Old Values, One Bank. The spot won a state award. Incentives and subsidies, brands that play by the line can count on, discounts on media buying, priority slots in Ramadan campaigns, participation in state-sponsored festivals and events, grants from cultural funds for CSR spots, for example. And if you rebel, you can land on the list of brands with unstable value compliance. You can lose your license to sponsor public events. In serious cases, your ads can be blocked even on YouTube and TikTok thanks to GAM cooperation. Conclusion? Advertising in Saudi Arabia is politics with a soft hand. It's not about selling something. It's about building trust in the state through emotional brand storytelling. Whoever understands that wins more than customers. They gain an audience, approval, and safety. Is a censorship-free Netflix possible? In 2016, Netflix officially entered the Saudi market. At first, quietly and cautiously. The catalog was dominated by American productions, classics, thrillers, harmless comedies, but quietly, dangerous content started creeping in. Obvious in the West, like a live grenade in the Gulf. A character kisses a girlfriend before marriage. The mother doesn't wear hijab. A gay man is portrayed as positive. Result? Outrage, fatwas, complaints, pressure. Saudi authorities reacted quickly. Netflix received a clear signal. Want to operate in the kingdom? You must adapt your catalog. You can't stream everything. And if you cross the line, your app can disappear from the App Store. Thus, a Saudi Netflix was born in practice. Filtered catalog, certain episodes hidden, changed thumbnails, for example, without the heroine's face. Synopses rewritten in neutral language. Examples? Cuties, mignon, branded child pornography, removed in the Gulf. Sex education, seasons marked not available in your country. House of Cards, one episode with a gay romance blocked. Messiah, original Netflix production, removed after pressure from Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt. Does Saudi Netflix have its own Netflix? Yes, it's Shahid VIP, a platform owned by MBC Group, partly state-controlled, which produces original Arab series, employs certified writers aligned with kingdom values, combines entertainment, history, and religion, runs on similar tech as Netflix, but with an ideological filter. Example, Al-Asuf, a drama about social reforms in Riyadh in the 1970s. No swearing, no alcohol, no transgressions, but a narrative fully coherent with Vision 2030, and therefore huge viewership. Who really controls the narrative? It's no secret that MBC, Shahid, Rotana, and state channels are controlled by structures close to the royal court. Every new production must pass a cultural panel of religious and ethics advisors. The viewer may feel they have choice, but it's a choice between a values-compliant series and no series. Generational conflict? Young Saudis know Western series have holes. They know Orange is the New Black won't show. They know You has missing episodes. They know Big Mouth doesn't exist. They also know how to use VPNs, how to download apps from outside official stores, and how to produce their own series, YouTube-style mini-dramas with a message. but without triggering a fatwa. That's where the real battle for narrative is. Not between Netflix and the state. Between generations. Could there be a censorship-free Netflix in Saudi Arabia? Theoretically, yes, but not now, and not in the Western sense. In the kingdom, a series is more than a show. It is a mirror, and if the reflection displeases the authorities, the mirror is quietly shattered. In summary, Ramadan and Hajj do not ask brands for fireworks. They ask for presence, for a gesture that remains when the screen is muted, a glass of water given to a father, a plate set down after iftar, hands dividing dates equally. Here the breath, the pause, the intention are what matter. The word is short, the image calm, and music is often replaced by silence that says more than any jingle. Television and YouTube flow in parallel like two currents of one river. One carries pathos and tradition, the other everyday life and the whisper of the online generation. The meaning is shared, sacred above sales, community above slogan. The product must not play the lead role. It must not get in the way of the common good. Here the Kaaba is not a backdrop for creative work, but the direction of the gaze. Here the frame does not rush. It waits for the viewer to complete it. The best campaigns don't try to outrun the holidays. They follow their rhythm, suhoor, silence, work on oneself. Iftar, reconciliation, conversation, prayer, gratitude, the light of a lamp in a window. Instead of buy now, there is one sentence you can remember without a logo. We are beside you. In these days, the budget is just a tool. The real currency is memory. Memory doesn't like shouting. It prefers consistency. It remembers the brand that did not intrude, that offered water before anyone asked, that stepped down from its own pedestal of me to make space for us. And it remembers those that arrived loudly. Those doors will stay closed. When the lights go off and the browser is shut, a trace remains. If it is clean, you will be welcomed back without invitation. If it was cunning dressed up as care, you will be politely forgotten. In this season, victory does not belong to the most spectacular creative idea, but to presence. Not to the pace of editing, but to the rhythm of the heart. Not to tricks, but to intention. And that is why the best way to end a campaign here sounds like a whisper after prayer. Thank you. We are here. We will return when you are ready.